Something special happening in our Cityline kitchen today. We are cooking up a storm with Chef Devan Rajkumar and Zehra Allibhai. I have to give them the genesis of all of this. We're used to seeing you in the kitchen, used to seeing you in the kitchen sometimes, but not you both together.
No.
And so they both found out that they were on the same show. I forget this. I'm here every day. But often the experts, you guys don't get to see each other.
Yeah.
So you found out the other was on the show on the same day, and you wanted to do a segment together. So I think that that is so beautiful. There's so much love on this show, even behind the scenes with the experts. And I think it's a beautiful thing. So Zehra, East African heritage, Devan, West Indian heritage. The two cultures obviously collide in so many different ways. And so you were going to be making a recipe that relates to both. Well, it's East African.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We wanted to find, first of all, I'm a really big fan.
Oh. Okay, so I'm so excited to try your food.
I think maybe I wanted it more.
No, I was so on board.
But we wanted to find some commonality. And I grew up with East African food because I have so many East African friends from Kenya, Tanzania, etc. So I grew up with mishkaki at a lot of barbecues, which essentially is like a kebab.
Yes.
So it's skewered meat. Typically we're using beef. But today I thought I would use chicken thigh because I can.
Yeah.
And we're going to show you how we marinate it. It's really, really exciting.
Good stuff. And you grew up with mishkaki.
I did. So, like I said, my parents are from Kenya, originally India, so that's where we've had even more similarities. But grew up having mishkaki, and then when we'd go back to Kenya to visit family, it was like you'd go to Lighthouse in Mombasa, and you'd have mishkaki sitting on the street, and have it like how it was originally meant to be made, how my parents grew up having it. So I'm so excited we're doing this.
So to get started with this, we have our chicken thigh. It's been cut into like little squares, little cubes.
Okay.
And then we're going to add in all these spices here. A lot of these spices can be found in Zehra's daba as well, which we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah.
But the first thing we're going in with is cumin. We always do the quiz on the show. What is this?
It is a spice.
That's right.
Ding, ding.
You're like 5 for 5 in recent shows.
It's only been 15 years.
Coriander?
What? Yeah, it's coriander.
Next up, haldi, which is known as turmeric. And then there's like a lot of chili powder. My recipe on Cityline's website does not have this much chili powder, but this is how I cook at home.
Yeah, that's good.
And
that's good.
And if you want to use this amount of chili and you don't eat a lot of chili, give it to someone you don't like. Okay? Chili powder goes in.
It needs some bite. It needs some heat, right?
Two uncommon ingredients that I add to a lot of things that I cook is garlic powder and onion powder.
Okay.
Flavor.
Yeah.
Even if you're putting fresh onion and fresh garlic, this powder is just going to give you another layer of flavor.
Beautiful.
Make sure the pan's smoking. The wet ingredients, we have ginger garlic paste, which is delicious. It's literally ginger, garlic, and water blended. Pinch of salt if you want, but not necessary. And then yogurt. What does yogurt do?
It helps to break down the meat.
Why am I even here?
Okay, I got it right!
So yogurt.
Thank you very much.
So yogurt provides that twang, that acidity. It helps to break down the meat, but we can also use papaya and kiwi.
Yeah, so a lot of times, so Dev was saying that a lot of times you marinate the meat the night before. So I would see a huge thing of meat, and I knew it was mishkaki, but sometimes my mom would put kiwi in it and papaya. I'm like, why are you putting that stuff in it? And I didn't learn the science until Dev taught me.
So the papaya and the kiwi are breaking it down.
There's an enzyme called actinidin, which I'm going to ask you next show if you remember what that is. Okay. So actinidin, and this helps break down the connective tissues, the muscle fibers that we find in the protein.
Beautiful.
It doesn't really add a lot of flavor because for this amount we'd probably use a couple tablespoons of papaya
paste.
And
she used to take it out too.
But
so cool.
but we're using the yogurt in this case. But we want to offer everybody that there are these options, and you grew up with that way. That's a home thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So mix all this together.
Yeah.
Can I skewer this right away and grill it?
No, you can't.
See these how we work here?
So you're going to marinate it, and hopefully you would do this in real life, maybe even overnight, right?
I would say a few hours or overnight.
A few hours
what would you do?
overnight.
I mean, if you can do it the night before, I find it has more flavor. Yeah,
totally.
And we also mentioned that beef is common, right? And beef will be a little bit tougher than chicken thigh, so that would really benefit from the papaya and the overnight marination.
Absolutely.
So mix this all together. I'm going to start skewering this just so we can get something grilling.
And is there anything specific to the skewering that we need to keep in mind? Like, are you doing it on wooden skewers? Is it, do you have to wet them first?
I have a couple tips with that, right?
Okay.
So soak the wooden skewers. These have not been soaked, right? But you're not eating it, so it's okay. So soak these in water for, I would say, at least an hour or two.
Okay.
What I find is with the metal skewers is sometimes the meat doesn't stick and it spins around on it. So just use, use whatever you think's best, but the wooden skewers are fine.
Okay, you got it.
And I'm going to alternate by putting some different types of vegetables. So we have green pepper. Now,
cool.
Z, when you grew up, were there vegetables on the
No.
skewers or
It was
just meat?
pure meat.
It was just meat. And was
Like,
it usually
literally,
beef, Zehra?
It was mostly beef,
Okay,
yeah. And but
got
same,
it.
like it was like the tougher cuts of meat, whatever was cheaper. You know, my mom, we're like usually doing this when you have all your uncles and aunts over, so it's you know something that's affordable, right? So
That's
it's like the tougher
right.
cuts of meat, and I think that's why the tenderizing came in.
Well, I think, so many cultures.
Yeah.
The whole seasoning of meat, it's like there was no refrigeration. The whole getting cuts of meat that are not like the prime cups was about poverty. Or, you know, getting what you can get. And then you learn how to make this meat really work for you and taste delicious, right?
100%.
Okay, so let's put one on.
Ooh,
We're going to put several on right now, okay?
Go ahead.
Just
what you
all
want.
like this. I also want to mention.
I'm done.
I also want to mention that mishkaki, when we are making this, and I'm sure you can attest to this.
Yeah.
You want to cook this over coal, right? And it's that fat
Coal is
and
great.
that moisture from the skewers that comes down, hits the coal, and then smokes back up. It's really hard to do without using that. You can use your barbecue at home.
Yeah.
You can use a grill pan if you're inside. But if you have the opportunity to use coal, I'm always going to say that that's the best way to cook.
We're
Now,
going to do it the best we can with the grill.
Yeah, so I'm going to do this. And do I want to start flipping this right now?
No. Give it some time.
No, not at all. So we want to get really nice color.
Yes.
There's also a really fun thing that we're pairing with this, and what is that?
So, like any typical barbecue, the sides are like the most important. So we were kind of going back and forth. We both love corn with our mishkaki, but the fun thing is we like different types of corn. So I'm going to show you guys how to make a corn curry.
Okay.
It's super simple, and it goes with a lot of the flavors that you have in the mishkaki as well.
Okay.
So with this one, you're going to use oil to start off with. And then you're going to let your oil heat up. The base is like a crushed tomato.
Okay.
So you put that in.
Would you do that just from the cans there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Just from the can. And then over here, this is the masala dabba. And masala dabba basically means masala is spice, dabba is box. So you'll see this in any South Asian home. You'll see any auntie,
Every
uncle.
auntie's cupboard has this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Like
And you just you just top it up, top it up, top
exactly.
And
it up.
this one is really well kept and pretty. Usually, like, there's salt and
it's
there's like
mixed
turmeric
and
in the salt
spices.
and chili.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like ready for camera.
I
It's
cleaned it
TV
up for you.
friendly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
TV
thank
friendly.
you.
And the nice thing is that it has everything you need, so you're not opening jars and you just open one thing. It has everything you
Beautiful.
need. So we're going to be using, so this is usually, I'm going to show you guys how you normally do it. You bring it, and then this we're using chili powder.
Oh,
So again,
nice.
I like a lot of chili powder.
Yeah.
And this has coconut, so that kind of balances it out. And then you're using turmeric.
Yeah.
And then I'm adding in a little bit of salt, and that's all. That's the three spices you
Himalayan.
use. That's it, Himalayan. I know.
A little Himalayan
A little
salt.
Himalayan
Do you
looks
agree,
prettier.
chef?
Absolutely.
Very nice.
So you're giving it a little bit of a mix. And with curries, what you want to see is the tomato sauce starts bubbling, and then you're going to see the oil kind of separate. Then you're going to add in your corn.
And your
give that a
corn,
mix.
is it like just canned corn?
Canned corn, frozen corn, whatever. You got a bunch of corn, cut it off the cob, whatever's easier.
This is an easy, accessible recipe that everybody can make at home.
Yeah.
Go into the
Absolutely.
pantry and
what
open
you
that
have,
coriander that you haven't opened in 5
Yeah,
years.
exactly.
You know?
So that's going to come to a simmer, and then the last thing is a little bit of coconut milk. So this is canned coconut milk. You know, like cream at the top.
yeah.
Get that cream at the top. Put in a big,
big
chunk. And that's going to melt in, and that's going to take out a little bit of the spiciness. It's going to add in some beautiful creaminess.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. Top it with a little bit of fresh lemon juice and coriander, and that's your side.
So
Ready to
really
go.
quickly, Dev, how do you like to do your corn?
The corn I grew up with in Toronto was on Gerrard Street, so
Yeah.
we basically have corn here, lemon, butter. I have a masala mix here that will go on the website, and you just rub this down as much as you can. If you're in India or Pakistan or South Asia and they're doing this, they're not wearing gloves, okay? So I'm not wearing gloves either. We think the flavor comes
The
from
flavor
that,
comes from it, for sure.
Kind of gross, but it's kind of real.
Yeah.
Okay?
There's something special about it,
So
right?
you rub down the corn, and then we have it plated over there. I also have a finished platter of the mishkaki
Bring
here.
it on.
Okay, so check this out.
That's gorgeous.
It's so
Platters, very nice. The board is beautiful.
well. I figured Tanzania on the water.
I love
this
that.
makes sense.
Can I? I'm going to take it.
Yeah, go
for
for a
it.
try. You'll taste the spices. This is how you eat it, right up the skewer. It's fun, right?
Find the recipes on cityline.tv for this fantastic food.